All right, we want to talk about Dr. Fauci. So obviously waves have been made because of that judge in Florida, that pesky judge in Florida who decided to upend the apple cart and get rid of masks, and invalidate the CDC's mask mandate. Mid-flight, of course, we showed you the videos of airline flight attendants and stewardess and whatever you want to call them nowadays, and airline passengers ripping off their masks in applause. There's widespread excitement about it. Of course, there was widespread condemnation also by blue check liberals on Twitter who were upset about the masking as well. And Dr. Fauci has come out over the weekend in a couple of interviews. I want to play one of them here where he says that this was a huge mistake on the part of the CDC, on the part of this judge to invalidate mask mandates, and that we should in fact go back to it. He believes that this was a big overstep by this judge, who should have left the medicaling, the healthing and medicaling to the medicaling people. Listen.
Because those types of things really are the purview of the CDC. This is a public health issue. And for a court to come in, and if you look at the rationale for that, it really is not particularly firm. And we are concerned about that, about courts getting involved in things that are unequivocally public health decisions. I mean, this is a CDC issue. It should not have been a court issue.
Okay.
So a CDC issue, first of all, again, this comes back to the court saying the CDC overstepped its boundaries, that the CDC did not have the authority to do this, and the court invalidating that authority and invalidating what the CDC says. So they're not giving up on this. I mean, the Biden administration, Dr. Fauci, says that there's a major risk of taking off face masks, that he's going to continue to wear it. We should continue to wear them in public transportation. You absolutely should do this. It's amazing, though, to hear President Biden on this, who's, again, being led around by an Easter bunny, apparently, on this idea, because on the one hand, you have, when this happened, Jen Psaki, we would advise all Americans to wear masks on airplanes. Joe Biden, 2 p.m., wearing a mask is up to you. It's an individual. Health and Human Services Secretary, we will likely appeal the federal ruling striking down the mask mandate. So where are we?
Well, he said he was worried later in that interview. He says, I'm worried about the precedent it might send. I am too. You're worried that a court would consider the legality of your authority, right? So I think that's absolutely what the courts are for. Do you have the authority to put in place these social rules? And I think another interesting question is, under what threshold of emergency does your authority end? Because we all agreed for some specified period of time that the pandemic was an emergency and we acted accordingly, right? But then when does that end? So what is the precedent? When will you ever give up this power, or is it yours in perpetuity, right? But then when asked later, if you got on a plane, what would you do, Dr. Fauci? And he says, well, when you say what would one person do, that applies to one person and should not be extrapolated to other persons, to which I went like this. Because you're saying individual health matters. He's saying, I'm 81. I, am boosted and all of that stuff. But I might want a snack. So I might take off my mask then. But wait. So individual health now matters? Because that's not what we were told.
Right.
When it came to vaccines, individual health did not matter. Right, everyone get vaccinated.
That's what we want to get to, herd immunity. Like, we want to get there.
No, not about herd immunity. That okay, the vaccines, is there anybody who shouldn't get vaccinated? Is there any questions we can ask? No, individual health does not matter. Everyone get vaccinated. Well, would you wear a mask on the plane? Well, we can't extrapolate because individual health matters. So which one is it? Which one?
Disagree with her interpretation of public health law.
Well, I clearly disagree. I mean, those types of things should be decided as a public health issue by the public health organizations, in this case, the CDC. This is a public health matter. This is not a judicial matter. The CDC has the obligation to protect the American public, and they make their recommendations based on science and solid public health information.
Okay.
Like when I heard that quote, I almost like spit up my coffee.
But
Sound
it's the
science.
CDC that says, that shows that the outbreak of COVID was basically the same for states with mask mandates and states without. That is CDC science. So what is the science that is confirming to us that masks make us safer? Like, what is it, right?
Yeah, but you're looking at the science, not the spin on science. And so
Right.
yes, the CDC science says, but the CDC spin on science is different, and they're not the same.
That's
Okay.
that's our new show. That's going to be our new spin-off show, The Spin on Science. Like, well,
I'm down.
Yeah.
it'll be like
Bill
science.
Nye, the spinning science guy.
It'll be science-ish. Like, it won't be fully science. It'll just be our spin on science, not actually accurate. But I love this, this idea that CDC only does things based on science, or that we do things, we hide the science that we have, and then through Freedom of Information Act requests, we get access to the science that you're actually looking at.
I love that there is like a partisan bent too on science. Like, I was reading this story today. I was seeing if I can find it about how like people who love Trump, their identity is that they reject science, as if there's this like contingency of people who are ignorant and I don't know, like it framed it as if there's an anti-science group of people who are, I don't know.
It's weird. It's weird because
I
like
think I'm quite familiar with that phrase.
science is a method. So saying like, well, I just don't believe in science would be more akin to like saying I don't believe in mathematics. It's like the answers you're coming to are derived from the scientific method. Science is not a separate body of knowledge. Knowledge is knowledge. It's just a way of gaining knowledge. And so like that just floors me, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like that was a strange attack on. I feel like these types of articles saying that, people who vote Democratic follow science, and so we are therefore better, and we are pitted against sort of Trump lovers who it is their identity to reject science, and that's why they behave this way. That's a very dangerous polarity.
Well, it's ridiculous too when you look at the states and the counties across the United States that how they fared based on mandates versus no mandates, and you see, look at Arizona. We showed you the county by county maps where mask mandates did not work. So this idea that masking up and the counties that didn't, like, oh my God, you're going to go down to Arizona, you're going to go to Florida where they don't have masks. Yeah, and then turns out they did fine. In fact, the numbers were better than the counties that across the country that masked up.
Yes.
They did better, and the data shows that. But the CDC doesn't want you to know that, even though it's on their website. They don't want to talk about that.